So it finished Nottingham Forest 2, Blackpool 2. But was it a disaster? I don't actually think so. Welcome to the 5 things we learned. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well. And welcome to the 5 things we learned on Forest 2, Blackpool 2. Coming up, we're going to talk about Nuno and why he's so annoyed with what happened yesterday. We've got to talk about how this changes his plan in terms of the squad. And we've got to cover off things like Morgan Gibbs White, Joe Worrell, Omar Bamadeli. They're all coming up in this video. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. And make sure you are subscribed if you're new to Forest Fan TV. And tonight at 7 p.m, we've got a Beat the Drop special. You'll have to tune in to find out exactly what I'm talking about. You're not going to want to miss it. All right, let's kick this off and let's start with Nuno, because Nuno is vexed, man. Camp David, or Camp St. George's probably is the better word, is off because there is a replay now required between Forest and Blackpool. A trip up to the seaside means no trip to St. George's, as Nuno has to redo his plans for the next week, the mini winter break. That is off. And rightly so, because the players yesterday for the first half just didn't look like they could be bothered. They just thought, a bit like me, that we were entitled to win that match. And hey, football is indeed a humbler. And Forest found that out in 2 minutes in that first half. But I think there are so many positives to take away from this game, because Nuno will get to see the true character of those players. Put it like this, right? After beating Newcastle and after beating Man U, Crypto said it the other night, he feels like we're not going to lose to anyone. I was getting that feeling as well. It is better that this slap in the face came in the cup. And we didn't even lose. That's the whole point here. So it's a little slap in the face to me, maybe to Crypto, maybe to you guys, I don't know, but definitely to the players as well. We can say for sure that now he can see their true colours. The whole managerial bounce maybe is fading away, and now Nuno's going to get into Nuno things. So I'm actually quite positive about that. But the plans are going to change. But I see that also as a positive, even though I don't think Nuno does. An extra game means an extra competitive match where he can test out players, or maybe he can test the players he wants to see ready for the Brentford game. I want a cup run this season. I could see Forest going far. Famous last words, I know. But I think an extra match is exactly what's needed. And once Nuno calms down, I think he will come along to the same way as thinking as I do. But what do you guys think? Do you mind this extra match? Do you think there's risk of injuries or something like that? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the second thing. And this for me is the most positive thing from yesterday. Even though it's going to sound negative, but it's not. It's really positive because some true colours came out. I want to kick it off about the players here. And Nuno should now have a clear understanding of who should be staying and who should be going in this January window. He's going to have a very busy month. Let's take Worrell, for example. Worrell, who in Nuno's press conference said he respects him, he's the captain, etc., etc. He will get game time and then we will see. Well, he's had the game time and now we will see. Is Joe Worrell going to be moved on? In my opinion, he 100% should be. I think the likes of him needs to go, McKenna needs to go, a couple of others within the squad. And the other thing we learned is that Omar Bamadeli is more than likely going to be leaving Forest in this window. I mean, we already told that to you last week sometime. But that made it clear today when he was not selected to start and when he was not selected off the bench. And the thinking again behind this is that he's already played for Norwich and now he's come at Forest. If he was to have played at Forest, that would have been 2 clubs he's played for in the same season. So playing for a third club is actually not doable. He would have to go abroad to do that. It's the whole Dennis thing from last year when he played for Watford, he played for Forest, etc., and then couldn't be moved on. So I think Omar Bamadeli will be moved on in this window. And I don't see that as a bad thing. I highly rate this defender. I think he is the future. Yes, he hasn't jumped the pecking order like we've seen with Murillo, but I do expect him to go get some experience. I don't know where. I don't know where. He may go Championship. He may go to a crappy Premier League team like a Sheffield or something. I don't know. We will have to wait and see. But I think the selection of the club is going to be key. I would rather he went into a Championship club that was maybe mid-table, where he's going to have to graft. They're going to be under defensive pressure, rather than say, who's at the top of that table? I barely keep track on it. I think it's Leicester. If he went into Leicester, he's going to have quite an easy time. They're miles ahead in that table. And I think that's quite important for him to do that. So that's two things there that we've definitely seen from Nuno yesterday. The other one is on Tavares. Look, I know a lot of you rated his performance yesterday, and the main comments I saw was that he was fantastic in the attacking sense. Fine. It's Blackpool. I mean, I would expect maybe if I got a run out against Blackpool, I might look okay attacking. But defensively, even against Blackpool, I didn't highly rate him that much, and I wouldn't keep him on. I just don't see him as being the one. He's just never rocks my boat. Look, it's a subjective matter. You may like him, you may not. I know Simon really wants him to start, but for me, I just think there are better options than Tavares. And if we do play him and Forest buy him is expensive, I just don't see him fitting in to the Nuno style, but each to their own. So I think he probably gets sent back. And the other question that's emerging is, where is Mangala? Why is Mangala not starting? I think that got answered yesterday. I didn't think Ryan Yates had his best game, and I think Mangala will probably play in the return leg against Blackpool in the Cup. Now, there are people trying to build it up like it's some kind of rift between him and Nuno. I just don't think it's that. I think Mangala, as good as he has been for us this season, and arguably you could say in the Cooper regime this season, he was our best player. In terms of progressing the ball forward, he's not really that kind of player. In terms of sitting in front of the defence, I think he can do a fantastic job. Yes, he's pitched in with a couple of goals, but that's not the style of play Nuno wants. He wants his midfielders to be the progressors. And I think Mangala will get a run out. I probably would put him ahead of Yates. Look, if I'm going ahead and looking towards the Blackpool match in a week and a half's time, I would put Mangala in with Dominguez as the 6 and the 8. And that brings me on to the next player. What is going on with Danilo? He looked better against Man United, but again, who didn't? I just don't know where his head's at. I haven't seen the Danilo we saw from the end of last season. But again, this could be something. This could be something that is starting to worry a few of you maybe, because he doesn't look quite on it. He should be fitting in a Nuno style. I thought Nuno actually played him wrong yesterday. He seemed to be the one dropping in between the centre-backs, and I wouldn't have had it that way. I'd have kept it how it was against Man U, with Yates dropping in and Danilo looking to play that 8 position. But even if I'm being honest about it, he wasn't brilliant against Man U, but he wasn't bad. So there are a lot of things that need to be changed at Forest. There are a lot of bodies that need to go out. We'll do a whole separate video on the bomb squad, if you like, in the next few days. But let me know your thoughts on those specific players. Which of the ones I just spoke about should be gotten rid of? And is there any you would keep? Get them in the comments down below. All right, let's talk about a positive. This one is all positive because I am fully back in love with the man, Morgan Gibbs White, who was brilliant yesterday. He's been brilliant in every single game under Nuno since he's been moved into central midfield. And, you know, I've said it all season. In the previous regime, he was starting to annoy me, especially the corners, the flicks and tricks and what have you. And you all accused me last year of having MGW goggles. It's because I knew the player he should be, can be, and is becoming. And this is why I'm falling, or should I say fallen, back in love with him. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. He kind of looked like the only player that really cared that much. He's a player yesterday who didn't look like he played with entitlement. He played and felt that it had to be earned. Now, under Nuno, and this credit has to go to Nuno and to Morgan Gibbs White, he has brought the best out of him in what, 2.5, 3 weeks, just by moving him into the middle. Fine, that was a no-brainer. Any idiot could have seen that's what needed to happen. The key for me is his shooting. His shooting is night and day since Nuno has walked in. He's basically told him, Morgan, you're not playing rugby. Stop hitting those conversions over the bar. And it's something that Morgan Gibbs White mentioned himself in an interview a week or two ago. Before he shoots, in the process of the ball coming to him, he takes a second and he breathes, and then he releases the bullet. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday, the bullet going in. He worked that in really small space. Now, I just said we can't big up Nuno too much because of Blackpool, because Blackpool are Blackpool. I'll say the same with Morgan Gibbs White. Yes, the opponent was Blackpool, but still, that shot, no keeper was saving it. And if he carries on this trajectory, now that he can pass, now that he's not doing his flicks and tricks, yes, his corners are still pretty crappy, I'm not going to lie. And his shooting is now fixed. I'm not getting ahead of myself, but he is starting to shape up to be one of the best players, if not the player and the man in this squad. And a couple more games, and I will be saying everything needs to be built around him because he is sheer quality. And it is amazing. It's amazing when you play players in their right position to their strengths and then coach them what you can produce. So I'm not getting ahead of myself. I was last season with him, but that's because I saw the quality he had. But this time, Morgan Gibbs White looks like he stepped it up. And to me, he looks better than he did in his purple patches last year. What the hell do you guys think on Morgan Gibbs White? Let me know in the comments down below. Okay, the next two things are going to be slightly negative, but they still need to be discussed. And this one is going to be a little bit of a lecture to you guys, and that's on Montal. Why? Because basically everyone was saying he was crap yesterday, which he was. But we saw him, be at fault. That header back into the box was quite weak to give them their first goal. It was an assist. Let's not beat around the bush. Some are saying he's at fault for the second goal, not sniffing the man from behind him. Fair enough. But he got the assist against for Dominguez in the game. And I just think there needs to be some calm heads on this one. Because after the Man U game and after the Newcastle game, we were all, including me, saying sign him up, he's the real deal, he's the best right back. I still do hold that position. Yeah, he wasn't good yesterday, but we can't go from saying World Cup winner to crap, to Europa League winner to crap. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Let's kind of just make it, maybe let's agree to go across the middle on this one and just let him play it out. Remember, he's not had a run in this team. This is his first proper run where he's had 2 or 3 games now to produce. And to be honest, you could level the same crapness from yesterday at about 90% of that team. None of them were up for it apart from Morgan Gibbs White. So to single out Montal is probably harsh. And I'm going to give him more time, but I am still convinced he is good enough, and especially in those Premier League matches for me. So yeah, there was good yesterday. Yeah, there was bad, and there was definitely ugly. But let's not throw him overboard just yet, is my opinion. What would you guys do, especially those of you who are up here with Montal after the 2 Premier League games and then chucking him overboard yesterday? Where's your mindset at now? Do you think you should take a minute and just reflect? Or do you still want to chuck him overboard? Let me know. Okay, this one has to be talked about, and that's Chris Wood. Was it Cristiano Woodinho yesterday, or was it Deadwood? In my opinion, yesterday was back to Deadwood. And this is one I haven't got high about. I've definitely got low about, but I'm beginning to worry. I'm seeing a pattern with Chris Wood. I think he has a motivational issue. What do I mean by that? I don't think he lacks the ability to get motivated, but he needs to be up for a game to perform because he can go missing. I barely noticed him yesterday, apart from when he should have dinked and he didn't. And he should have slid in on the far post. And he just wasn't tall enough. Anyway, my point here is, when he's up for a game, I've seen it 2 or 3 times so far in his time at Forest. Obviously the Man City game where he got goal of the season. Then we had it in the Bournemouth match, which was Nuno's first game. And then obviously against his old club, Newcastle. So what's my point here? When Chris Wood is motivated against the opposition we're playing, it seems to bring the best out of him. Now, why was he motivated against Bournemouth? Because that was Nuno's first match. He needs to impress. He needs to, show that he cares. And he played really well. Against Newcastle, his former club, maybe a grudge to settle, maybe wants to stick 2 fingers up them kind of thing. Then at Man U, I didn't fully rate his performance, and I definitely didn't rate it against Blackpool. So my point here is, was Wood in a purple patch? It's exactly what I said after the Newcastle game, so I've had no double standards on this. My worry is it was a patch. And my worry was, off the back of that patch, Forest may scrap any ideas off signing a striker in the January window. And we definitely need one. Even though Taiwo's nearly back, Taiwo feels like he's made of glass at the moment. So, would I keep Chris Wood on? Because this was the other talk. His contract is up in the summer. Should we sign him up, or should we just let it expire? I don't know if Chris Wood anymore. I don't know. I still stick with what my gut tells me, and my gut tells me he is not the answer to any of our major problems at Nottingham Forest. This is just me speaking openly and honest with you guys. I still see him having a few good matches here and there in the Premier League. He can be useful in what he produces. He's still scored more goals than the entire Man U front forward lineup put together, which is still hilarious. But I'm still not fully convinced. I want to be, so someone in the comments convince me Chris Wood is the answer if you are Cristiano Woodinho. But if you think there was elements of the Deadwood back there yesterday, I want to hear from you guys as well. Get your thoughts in. Those are the 5 things that I wanted to share with you guys today. There's still plenty more to talk about. We'll be talking about some of it in Beat the Drop. Oh, God. It's going to be a special. It's going to be interesting. So make sure you join in at 7 p.m. tonight. Please don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. There may be a transfer video if anything juicy comes up. So have your notifications on between then and Beat the Drop. And we'll see you later on. Come on, you Reds.